Thanks for tuning in. I just sat down with Garet Scaff. You can usually find him over at Maximus Nutrition, but when he is not working over there, he is a full-time bodybuilder. He has been on the stage twice, and one of those almost killed him. He is getting ready for his third show and working on so many other things. This episode was motivating and inspiring, and I hope you guys get a lot from it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and enjoy. Are you looking for a new protein supplement, or maybe you need a refill on pre-workout or creatine? Hop on over to Maximus Nutrition over on Sunset Drive and Knickerbocker. They can hook you up. Hello. Welcome back to Everything and the Gym. I'm your host, Shelby, and today I have a guest with me that you have probably seen at Maximus Nutrition. But before I tell you who that is, we are going to hear a special shout out from our sponsors, Training from the Ground Up, Orange Theory Fitness, Maximus Nutrition, and CRC Roofing. What is your name?
Hello, my name is Garet Scaff, and pleasure to be here.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 26 years old.
Oh, do you feel old?
After training, I do. Yeah, I feel old, but I stay in good health, stay in good shape. Yeah. So hopefully it makes me progress on longer.
What do you currently do?
Currently, I work at Maximus Nutrition. I specialize in supplement knowledge most of the time there, just helping anybody out, just pretty much how to stay fit, how to stay healthy, and nobody knows what supplements to take. And if you look on the wall, nobody reads those fine little pretty labels on the back that are in fine print. So that's what I do. That's my job. And besides that, I'm a full-time men's physique NPC competitor trying to shoot for my pro card. So.
Mm-hmm. You also coach.
I do coach on the side. Yeah, I decided to start doing that this year, and just on the side to give people tips. Everyone kept walking up to me and my good buddy and asking for tips and tricks, and thought I'd help people. Building muscle's good, man, but building people is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, so we'll hop back into that in just a minute. But first, I want to rewind the clock. What was growing up like for you?
Growing up was, man, most kids would think it's kind of a dream. You know, my mother, Caroline, I love her to death. She was an entrepreneur. She didn't go to college, but she made a balloon business that she catered to the Chiefs and the Royals with, and then she had one of the most successful candy stores in Kansas City. And I worked that candy store for about 8 years, and it was amazing. I mean, you could have anything, ice cream, candy, fudge. I mean, we made all of our homemade treats, and it was really weird because both of my parents were bodybuilders, but yet my mom owned a candy store. Mm-hmm. And my father, Chris, he was an eye doctor, which was kind of strange too, you know, very gentle and hands-on with people and their health, but they just loved to train. So I grew up in the environment of eat healthy, take care of your body, but help people, help the community. Mm-hmm. And it was like that, real structured, but I still had fun growing up. We still went outside and, you know, we played with our bikes and our Nerf guns and all that fun stuff. And, you know, everyone got on Xbox after school, middle school, high school. We got on Xbox Live. And I think around about 12 years ago, you know, when I was, I can't remember, I'm maybe 13, 14 years old. I came home and found an old picture of my father lifting weights and asked him about it, and he introduced me to the sport. Mm-hmm. So, and I was interested from then there on out. So.
Were your parents like active bodybuilders while you guys were kids?
When I could vaguely remember, I think I was about 6 years old, maybe younger, because it's hard to remember past that, but I remember they weren't competing anymore, but they were definitely training as if they were going to compete. So our gym in the home set upstairs, which was weird, but I mean, it was just this massive, just separate room that my father just liked because it was wide open. There was mirrors completely all around. And all I'd hear waking up in the morning was Def Leppard and Kiss and all old school rock music, and coming downstairs and smelling every egg known to man and oatmeal, and the protein powders would be out, and they were very old school, not all this fancy stuff we have today. They were very just black coffee, bread, eggs, and then of course they'd make me my fun treats because when I was that young, I wasn't really concerned with lifting weights, so I'd be sitting there with my chicken nuggets and mashed potatoes and mac and cheese. I'd be okay.
Yeah. Do you think seeing your parents be active like that has affected who you are today?
Yeah, I do. I think that if it wasn't for my parents being as driven as they were, because not every day did my father want to go to work, and I saw more of my mother than I did my father because he had to travel and run stores up north for the Lens Crafters Company. But seeing that drive in them, especially Mom being an entrepreneur, it ultimately developed me into a person that never saw quitting as an option. Even if you didn't like what you were doing, you have to, Mike Tyson says, do something that you don't like, but do it like you love it. And that's how you get past the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that tenacity, that spiritual drive, then you learn to hate it even more, and then it just creeps on throughout the day. And then the ones that you love, the ones that love you, you throw it on them, and you don't even know it because they can feel that energy from you.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to learn to love it, And man, my mom and dad did, and now they live peacefully here in San Angelo, retired in a nice home, and they continue to laugh and eat whatever they want now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They don't bodybuild anymore?
They don't. Dad has been through 4 back surgeries, and he's currently recovering off of his 4th back surgery. And, the doctor says that when he's completely healed, he'll be able to, pick up some moderate weights and stuff like that. So he'll probably lean out, go for jogs and stuff like that, recover his body. As far as Mom goes, she's got, heart problems running the family. So she's got some stuff with her heart, but she also has a back disease that they have found, and they're taking precaution on that. It's not anywhere bad right now, but they're just trying to take care of themselves, so they can live long to, I guess, see me and the rest of the family grow to be good.
Yeah. I know you have a brother.
I do. Well, he's not my real brother, but you pretty much call him that. My real brother Christopher, he passed away about when I was 6 years old. Tragic car accident, and tried to treat himself, and went too much on pain meds, and it was a bad scene. You know what I mean? But I loved him to death, and he wanted to be a chef. He wanted to go to Johnson County Community College, be a chef, and he wanted to go big into surfing, and I got a show coming up here in August, and one of my first things I'm going to do right after that show is go see his grave for the first time. I've never seen it. When I was young, I guess my parents didn't want me to see that, and I understand being 6 years old. But when I moved back home to Texas, I met Jake Coleman, and Jake reminded me a lot of my brother Chris, the way that he kind of spoke and laughed and joked around, and just his sense of humor, and then his love to help people. I mean, that was Chris right there. And I think that Chris maybe had, made our ways cross, for a reason. And since then, he's been my best friend, my brother, and my training partner. I trust him with every aspect of my life as far as my home, my belongings go, and do anything for the man.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to college after high school?
I did. I got accepted to college courses senior year. I was an honor student throughout. So by the time I got to senior part of high school, I was trying to creep into Johnson County Community College a little bit and get into the criminal justice program. And unfortunately, when you try to transfer over to Texas, all your credits don't transfer over. So I was supposed to graduate when I came here, but it kind of plummeted me and put me back to a sophomore. And it was unfortunate, but, I went to ASU to continue the Johnson County Community College Criminal Justice Program, and only so many classes transferred. And pretty soon, I didn't hate college. I loved my college experience. I think ASU is a wonderful school. I mean, we got some great students that step out of there, but, through it, bodybuilding was really, really sitting on my mind, and had a serious conversation with my parents and the rest of my family. And, and I knew that if I worked really hard, because I never saw myself to be genetically gifted at all, and even the stuff I know now, I still look up to my current coach so very much, who's in Miami right now. He's been an absolute godsend and help to everything, including all of my mentors that I meet in the gym, the older gentlemen that have been bodybuilding before. Mm-hmm. But it's a crazy thing for sure,
Let's talk bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Okay, when was your first show?
My first show was, I think it was, let's see, this will be my third show coming, so it was 2 years ago. So I think it was 2023 was my first show.
And how did you do?
I placed fourth, which was okay. I had been going through coach after coach after coach, and wonderful coaches. The last coach that I had before the one I have now was Shelbi Madrid, and unfortunately, I love her to death, but she had ended up having to move to Seattle, Washington, due to medical reasons and job profession and stuff like that. And but she helped me at the last little bit there. If I had her all throughout, I'm more than likely know that I would have done better. But I think standing on stage there for the first time and seeing how proud my parents were, and of course I was competing with my good buddy Jake, and we had Eric with us, our good buddy Eric, who's a state trooper, and yeah, we were just having fun, man. It was just cool. It was scary, but it was just like a full race of emotion, just being there and being with the family. And after that, we stuck to the diet so hard that after we went and had all the good foods right after the show, we were crying. It was so good.
It's the best part, right?
It was amazing, man. Everything peanut butter for me after the show was a want.
Okay, so then you had something crazy happen your second show then, right? Yeah. Okay, do you mind hopping into that?
So it was actually right after, so I'd competed, and then that was in Austin, and I came back to San Angelo, and it was everything was fine. I was going back to work at Maximus, and I was coming back, and I stuck to the diet right after, really good, because I always eat clean, but I had my little snacks here and there and some cheat meals with my family. And, I noticed when I was sitting in the store about 4 days after my first show, 4 days after that, my ankles started to swell up, and I felt kind of funny, like all the water had just gone to my legs. And I called Shelbi Madrid, and I was like, because she deals with medical problems and blood clots all the time, said, you need to go to the hospital now. So I drove myself over to the clinic over there at Knickerbocker, and I walked in there, and they did a bunch of tests on me, and before I know it, the nurses came in, they said, we can't let you leave. And I'm like, well, why? And they said, well, your heart's working at 35%, and it's going down further. And I'm like, I'd been healthy my entire life. I didn't understand. I mean, and I had nothing in my body that could cause. I mean, you know what I mean? We were all the way down to, because we use creatine and pre-workout and stuff like that, But I'm a big believer in staying pure. You know what I mean? Don't do anything that's going to hurt your body intentionally. And then come to find out, I called my parents and called my family and stuff like that, and my parents were like, they were afraid this was going to happen because hereditary heart failure runs in the family. It claimed the life of my uncle. It claimed the life of my other uncle, of my cousin Justin. And it just continues to trickle down in the family. And I guess it was stress-induced maybe by that time. And, maybe I didn't know I was sensitive to caffeine. These were all things that we were figuring out. High sugary foods. I can't have loads and loads of sugar. My insulin, I'm real sensitive to my glucose levels going through the roof. So it's I got to take glucose disposal pills. It's most people can eat cookies. I can maybe have 2, but then I got to stick to regular food, which is fine. I can still enjoy sweets. I can't pick out like I did in the candy store, you know? So that was scary. They they drove me in an ambulance down to the hospital, and Jake had drove in from San Antonio, and everybody was up there in the hospital, and that was a scary moment, man. I was afraid that I was going to leave this earth, and I remember sitting there speaking to God and talking to my brother up in heaven, and pretty much saying, I hadn't gotten married yet, I hadn't gotten kids yet, none of that, and I hadn't really lived the most beautiful part of my life yet, and at that moment when I was laying in the bed, I made a promise to God. I said, if you get me through this, I promise to help people who go through either the same thing or who are going through challenges, who they don't think that they can go in the gym and get themselves healthy because they feel like something hereditary or something that their family has passed on is pushing them down. And I want to show them, like, you put your mind to anything and you put God inside of it, you can achieve the impossible, because he is the absolute impossible. He'll make impossible possible. And I was in the hospital for 4 days, and I was in and out. I mean, when the heart gets real low and it doesn't operate like it does, you get real tired easy. You pass out real easy, and they were taking blood from me every 6 hours. So I'd, be asleep, and some nurse come in there and take blood from my arm and wake me up because of the needle poke, and it was something. And then I got out of there, and it was a 9-month recovery. It was so sad because, I'd see Jake and all the guys on Instagram, working out in the gym, and, the only thing that I could do was walk.
Was that hard mentally?
Yes, and I think what God wanted me to do is he said, okay, I need you to take a step back, and I need you to train and learn and exercise your brain. And then eventually, now I know, currently, he wanted me to exercise my brain before he gave me the power to exercise my body again. Because in that time, the first 2 months were real hard. First 2 months were, I was, crazy around the house, you know what I mean? I was feeling locked in, I didn't feel like I could be a part of the guys anymore, because, they would go to the gym and then they would go eat together, and all this fun stuff. And, I was still helping out at Maximus. And, that's another thing I want to touch on real quick before we continue. Christopher Nava, he closed the store that day, when I was admitted into the hospital. And that I've been with that man for 2.5 years, and I've been walking into his store for about 6. And, he runs the biggest supplement store here in town. And when he did that, it really showed that he cared, because he's the reason why I have all the supplements that I did that got me these shows in the first place. So shout out to him, really, for doing that for me. And we just got done with, Pancake Day today.
Yeah,
and it was amazing.
Awesome.
We had a fun time.
Yeah.
But back to the hospital, it was, first 2 months were hard. And then after that, I just started reading books and learning on how to help people with diet and health. I don't know everything. That's why I currently myself have a coach. Most coaches and most personal trainers today that you see in like Crunch and TrueFit and things like that, if they're a serious athlete that's a powerlifter or a bodybuilder, maybe they're a boxer, I guarantee you almost 100% of the time that they have a coach themselves who's much older, been doing it for years. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm surely not going to tell somebody that I'm coaching. And if I need a question, I'll definitely go ask my own coach. So, and it just trickles down the ladder, the pyramid. I think to withhold information from people, it's sinful. If you have the cure to a sickness, why not tell them? If you have the cure to health, why not tell them? And we all do. Me, you, and the rest of the good girls and boys that train hard and crunch. We have to be accepting to those who are afraid to walk through those doors, to tell them that it's okay to take your sweatshirt off even though you don't want to show your skin.
A major shout out to our ongoing sponsor with Maximus Nutrition. So I have some homework. Every time you go into Maximus Nutrition, I need you to tell them that you heard this commercial on the podcast so you can get a sticker. Every time you mention everything in the gym, they'll give you a sticker out of this box. Go get your shakes, you guys. Okay, so you go through this life event. Why did you choose to go into another show?
Because, so this was scary because I told myself, I was fearful because I said, okay, I got to, diet down again and not eat as much carbs and get myself cut and not as much body fat and all these things. And, my main concern, it was so funny. Every day I found myself checking my ankles to see if they were swelling again. And we had to play, me and my coach and my doctor. I had to go back and forth between both of them and saying, what's good. And we learned a lot about myself in the sense of how much sodium I can take, sugar I can induce. And gosh, he switched my diet around so much. But, man, we eventually nailed it. What made me want to do a show was I wanted to show people that you really can come back from the impossible. Just because something bad happens to you doesn't necessarily define your circumstance for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I wanted to prove to people that you could do it. And then I remember the type of man my brother was, the type of man my father is, and I wanted to make my parents proud and my brother proud. That was a big, big thing for me. And Shelli promised to be at that show. I wanted to show her that I could because, I don't know if she wants me to say this, but it's on her Instagram. She is suffering from vascular dementia. So, eventually she will lose her memory and she won't really remember me or much of anyone. And, I'm sitting there feeling sorry for myself and I'm like, I don't have something near as that bad. No, I need to do it for them. You know what I mean? And I made them proud and entered into another show and got a wonderful coach who's, it's the same coach for Jake. And, man, I think that's what makes it a good team. Me and him are gym partners, and we have the same coach. He's a different division, of course. He's a little bit bigger boy. He's classic and going into open. He's got a show July. He's going for his pro card, so send prayers, everybody. And I wish I could be there for him, but times are tough and tickets are pricey. So I'll be praying from afar.
Yeah. When is your next show? My
next show is August 2nd. It's the Lee Labrada Classic in Houston, Texas, so in H-Town.
You and I were having a conversation earlier. Can you say about how much you spend per show?
Yeah. So most competitors, man, you have to obviously have your main job, but then you have to find means to, make money elsewhere and, just keep your finances in check. We don't really spend money to spend money. Most of the gym clothes that we wear, we don't go buy. And I know dark sport's cool and all that, but we don't really go buy all the fancy clothes. I mean, you'll see us in the gym wearing Walmart tank tops and, old cut-up T-shirts because, most of our money goes towards food. Food is probably the number one. And then after food would be probably supplements and then travel time, So if I'm on a prep, if I had to just guesstimate, because there's a certain amount of weeks that a prep takes for everybody depending on your body type. But I want to say about, if you really want to get all the good vitamins and essentials, I'd guess about $4 or $5 grand.
Whew.
And if you want to round the off season, believe it or not, is going to be, I think it's sometimes more pricier because you have to eat more.
Yeah.
So if you had to round that up, I'm maybe 10 grand.
Yeah.
Just because of food, So, you slap those numbers together, you're getting 15 and
all that for 1 minute on stage.
Yeah, some people have more on stage, but you ask yourself, why do you do it? And you have to have a love. Bodybuilding prep will teach you something about yourself that you didn't know because you have to be able to say no to certain foods. You have to know, like, you can't go out and party and you can't drink. And I don't drink alcohol. The last time I had alcohol, I was probably 17, 18 years old. And I'm 26. I just choose not to drink it. I don't have anything against people that drink it. I just choose not to. It makes me feel better. And I think I'm a better person. I can be a better person without it. My buddy Jake's not a drinker. We're all about staying healthy. We don't go out and if we go out at all, it's with our family, it's with our friends. We go to the movies. We go to a restaurant. We go do normal things. And if they have kids and we have the little ones around, then we go hang out with them. And it's peaceful.
Okay, so what does a day-to-day look like for you?
From morning to night, huh? Wow. Okay. Well, morning. So currently, I'm up and I wake up for 4 a.m. cardio and abs. So I go in there and currently I do about 45 minutes of cardio, and then on the stair stepper, and then I do a small ab session. From there, I go to the car because I have everything packed in there already, my meals, my bags, and everything, and it's easy. I just go from the gym right over to Maximus Nutrition. I open the store, get there around, most of the times around 5:30 now, 5:35, sometimes 5:40, but open it by 6. And sometimes I'll flip that open sign on, and if somebody trickles in, they trickle in, you know what I mean? Because it's a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And help the first few customers that walk through the door, and then we got some down period. And I have breakfast, first meal, help them all throughout the day, smash 2 more meals, all the way until about 3 or 4. Sometimes I stay later just to help people. I don't need to, but they have questions, and I like helping. I leave work from there. I go home, take about an hour's rest, little nap. Bodybuilding wears you out, so a little nap. Get up, take my creatine, take my pre-workout, take all my vitamins, my essentials, and go to the gym. And I train in there for about an hour. Most people think we're in there forever. We're about an hour. Maybe the most I've ever done was maybe an hour and a half on a leg day. But about an hour. And then I try to get out of there as quick as I can to come home and eat so I can get to bed on time.
Yeah.
Because...
what time is bed?
Bedtime for me, I really do try to hit that 9 o'clock period. The latest, sometimes, like you work late or stuff happens, and sometimes you get to bed at we're all human. Sometimes you get to bed at 10, 10:30. I think the latest I've ever done was probably 11, and then you got to wake up for morning cardio again and you're dragging, but you just got to do it, you know what I mean? And right currently now, my sleep is on point because once you get a structure of getting that 6, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you feel golden, and you don't want to break that at all. Yeah. So it's good, and then we wake up and we do it again the next day.
It repeats. All right. What does it take to feed your body? What is your protein at right now?
Actually, I actually have it on my phone if I can see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the diet changes actually constantly. So depending, what he has me on, right now we're 5 days on low carb, and then, but tomorrow it kind of switches a little bit. So tomorrow I'm going to be on exactly 185 grams of protein, 333 grams of carbs, and my fats will sit at 47, so my calories are 2,512. But you see, that's a carb spike. So my carbs are the most out of all of those macros. Right now, my carbs that I'm taking in, 100 grams of rice on my meals. The most of it's just meat and vegetables. I get fruit like pineapple, and I can do grapes, zucchini. That's a vegetable, And then in the morning, it's really just 1 scoop of isolate protein, fast absorption for the muscle. I don't do whey or casein. He's always told us to do an ISO. Blueberries, cream of rice, something that's easily digestible. And then, man, honestly, my favorite meal is at night where you're allowed to have 2 scoops of that ISO. And then we use almond butter. I end up toasting that sourdough bread and putting it on there. And it's I put calorie-free syrup on it. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Just a little bit. You don't want to go too, because everything necessarily has calories in it. Yeah. So you put 1 little tablespoon. It won't make you too, freak out too much on your body. Yeah. But almond butter's good, man. That's probably that tasty treat I look forward to, almond butter and bread, because once he takes your bread away from you, you're on fats and proteins.
Yeah. What you were telling me makes your body hurt.
What? The
shrinking of your...
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes when you're really cutting down like that, like you feel it in your legs, because all of us shave. Bodybuilders shave all their hair off, and it hurts your legs, and sometimes you can feel it in your arms. You can feel the wind going against your veins sometimes, and it's a weird feeling, because you're getting tinier. You feel weak in the gym. Let's say you're curling 40, 45-pound dumbbells. You're curling 25s.
Yeah.
But to people, you don't look small. You just feel small. But really, you're just, carving the muscle, and you're depleting the fat.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's definitely a mind game.
Yeah.
For sure.
The whole journey is a mind game.
Yeah. I think that if you want to learn how to be strong, because you can learn to take the aspects that you learn from the sport and apply it to life. For all the people out there that do have kids and that are moms and dads, if they're thinking about doing this sport, I think it teaches you how to be a better dad. I think it teaches you how to be a better mom. I think it teaches you how to be a better brother, a teacher to people, a better person overall, because, like I said, you find what you're not good at, and you also find what you are good at. It teaches you patience, and it teaches you that you can't have everything right away. So when you go and you see life like this, man, it makes you choose and decide. It makes you choose the best options for your life, because you take everything with precaution, because you don't want to mess up anything. You don't want to mess up your body. Well, you don't want to choose the wrong thing in life and mess up the rest of your lifetime. So it's you have to be able to take something that you've learned from your sport and apply it to your life.
Yeah. Okay, so what does fitness mean to you now?
Fitness for me means be an example. If you're in the gym and you're tired, we're all tired. Somewhere in that gym, there's a young child, young man, young lady, somewhere in that gym. You're not looking because you're focused on your own thing or you're hanging out with your friends, but you're probably the reason why they continue to show up. They don't know your name and they just see you. But, if they have to be driven to the gym, maybe they're like, Mom, Dad, I got to go to the gym because this person's going to be there and you should have seen her and her legs or this dude in his chest. And, right, they describe you as a superhero. These kids do, and they could be, high schoolers or whatever because, typically you got to be of age to go in the gym. But, you're this superhero to them. And, they almost put you up there like a poster. And when I'm down and I'm tired, I always think about that. I'm like, man, I'm an example right now. I got to get up because who are these kids going to look for, They got to look to us, because when we're, eventually we all won't be able to do this. Eventually our bodies will not allow us to do what we're doing now. All the, weights and the yoga and, everything that all these boys and girls do, our bodies get old. We can't do it. So these kids got to take the torch, and they got to light the way after us. We hand it down. It's the pyramid. And fitness to me means being an example. Walking in public, don't walk with your head down. It's not an ego thing. Walk with your head up. Be a light to people. If you think bad and expect bad, bad things will happen to you. But if you think good and expect good, bad things may still happen, but you see them in a different way. You know what I mean? May not always have good things come, but you can expect more good things to come if you think positive.
Yep. Positivity is a choice.
Exactly. It's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. And most people be like, man, your day's tough right now. I'm like, no, it's not. There's a saying out there, and Seth Feroce says it from Axe and Sledge, we don't have problems, we just have work to do. And that's so true. We don't have problems. There's people out there that are sick, ill, can't get out of bed, and we complain about spilling coffee in the morning. That's not a problem.
Work to clean it up.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have problems, just more work to do. We just have to work harder.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to include in your first segment?
I'm just going to say, as time trickles on, the one thing that I want to be able to continue to accomplish besides bodybuilding is, I have a good lady in my life, and it's been up and down. But that's with everything. Everybody has ups and downs. And when you find the person that you're supposed to be with, everyone says that it's easy. It's not easy. because everyone has this picture of what their knight in shining armor is. And once you get there, it's not what you expect because you've been through others in your past that have showed you what it's not, right? Mm-hmm. So when you get to the person you're supposed to be with, God will test you, and he'll test you in ways that you didn't know. But there's a reason why you guys continue to stay together. My person, she is a competitor herself. She's in the wellness division, and she's got a show in November. And I'm going to be at that show, and she has been incredibly supportive. She'll be at my show in August here. Her name's Portia. And, currently she's having to move, and we'll have to do long distance for a little while, but, that's okay. God puts us in battles, and we continue to push forward and move on. But I have to say, if you're going to really continue with bodybuilding, if someone's going to continue with this sport, it's not an individual sport. It is not. They see us up there posing and, putting on the tan, and they see us in the gym alone. It is not an individual sport. It takes the absolute support, will, and love from not only your immediate family, like your mother and your father, but also, a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, a father, a mother. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that are ultimately going to push you. You know what I mean? If you're tired one day, they're cooking a meal for you. If you can't get a certain bag to the gym, they're running it up to you. They're the reason why you succeed. And you have all these people out there looking at you, thousands of people in the stands, but you can't see them. You're only worried about the select few, right? And maybe sometimes even just the select one of making proud. And I think that's what ultimately people need to understand when it comes to bodybuilding is we're so dependent on the people that love us. We constantly ask them for reassurance because we always think that it's called body dysmorphia. We look bad. We always think that we're not trying our hardest, and their words mean more than anything in the world that we could say to ourselves or that we would hear from a stranger because we want to hear it from them. So that's probably what I'd have to add.
That was so good, Garrett.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we are going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we will be back soon. Are you looking to get stronger, faster, and feel unstoppable? Orange Theory Fitness is science-backed and coach-inspired, ready to get you fit, and guess what? Your first class is free. So hop on over to Orange Theory Fitness. They are located over by Nukes and Chick-fil-A. Is Ben Zaruba in better shape than your roof? Ben Zaruba isn't just an active gym goer, he also owns and runs CRC Roofing. So make sure you give him a call today because we want your house having gains too, right? And we are back for Deck of Cards. Deck of Cards is sponsored by Training from the Ground Up. Blue card.
Cool. I'm going to reach under here real quick. Oh. All right. Do you journal? Why or why not? It's funny. This is a weird question because so many people think that guys don't, like it's not a guy thing to do. I love to write. I do. When I was in school, man, I loved history so much. It was like my favorite subject. And I just like to write down things that I found interesting, but now that if I don't journal or at least write down, maybe it's not a paper if I can't get to the book I have, but in my phone, I'll write it on notes and then I'll, paste it over. Get your thoughts out.
Yeah.
You're not always with people. You're not always with your loved one. You're not always with your family, and you're not always with your friends. So what do? You got to let it out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it will stay inside. That is your way to express it. Because once you write it all down on your paper, I don't know about everybody, but I almost feel like it's free now. I don't have to worry about it. Almost like don't have to talk about it. And if I do, it's like I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Because it's like a release of like stress, happiness, maybe you're a little irritated, but it's a full range of emotion that you can put on the paper and say, and I date it too. This happened on this day. My grandfather Frank, he does it too. This happened on this day. I got a gift from this person. And he dates it all throughout the times that it happens. And I thought that is the coolest thing because, you write it on paper. Paper, you can always get it lost in a phone. Paper lasts forever. Then you have it. Then you can pass that down to your kids and show them, like, hey, this is what was happening to me. Like, this is the real me, instead of some story that you just tell.
Yeah.
They can actually read your writing and be like, wow, Dad, or wow, Mom. You know what I mean?
What a gift.
Yeah. It's super cool. Yeah.
I am more of like a brain dump journal, and so I don't journal every day. However, there are days where there's so much going on. Like there's a lot of things happening like today, and so I just had to like write them down so I don't forget anything. Right. Yeah, I would love to get to where I'm journaling daily and writing things down like that, because it is important to kind of like timeline. Because you forget so much. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I can't tell you exactly what happened 5 days ago.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But, yeah, just brain dump for the most part.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What is an adventure you would like to have before you die?
Oh, wow. That's an adventure I'd like to have. It's always been between two.
All right, what are they?
The first one is I always wanted to, like, travel. My brother was so big on food and trying different dishes and stuff like that. I always wanted to travel to the different states and go eat at those family-owned that are, like, well-known, like these people make cheeseburgers. These people make pizza. Yeah. And eventually, I can't do bodybuilding forever, so it's like, and I know I'm getting married and having, kids. Yeah. I want to take them there and experience that, go to New York, pizza, Chicago, the dogs and stuff like that, yeah. I want to experience that. And the other one was, going to see, Italy, France, and experience the culture over there. I always see it like, I saw it in the history books, like how all the roads are all like, block and stuff like that. It was super, super cool. They live elegantly, and it's still stuck sort of in the past. And I heard the food over there is to die for.
It's great.
We eat a bowl of pasta here in the United States, and you go to sleep. You eat a bowl of pasta over in Italy, you barely gain weight, and you're great. All the people in Europe, they're really skinnier. They are than over here because they don't have all the sodium, the salt in their food. Most people in Europe are fit. You rarely see overweight people there, and that has to be a culture thing. The U.S. having the FDA here has so much touch on what we eat and food-wise. Yeah. When you go into the grocery store, you got to be careful what you pick off. So I think going overseas to, Britain, Italy, just seeing Europe in general, I think that would be such a cool experience. Yeah. And not just like staying there for a week.
Oh, yeah, you got to go long haul.
Yeah, like make it a long haul and actually live the culture. I think that not only would I learn to respect, them, but obviously coming back to the United States, learn to respect the United States more too. It's it would definitely be a culture shock. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I love Europe. I went when I was 13, and that was actually going to be my adventures. I want to go back as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, I want to, like, because I saw the Anne Frank house, and at, like, 13, like, you get it, but you don't understand fully. And so to go back as, like, an adult, knowing what I know now to the Anne Frank house has been an adventure I've wanted to go on for so long. Just because, I don't know, you get it a little more.
Yeah, you can remember it.
You're in Europe, too, so, of course, like, the London Eye and the Eiffel Tower and all of those iconic scenes that I would love to go back to.
Sort of unreal if you think about it, being there in person.
Yeah.
I'd love it.
Pink card.
Cool. Get this going here. All right, what we got? Do you take creatine or any other supplements to assist in muscle growth or fitness-related abilities? Oh, yeah. Through the years, man, you just got to get, first of all, you got to get smart with what works for you, because not everything works for people the same way. Everybody comes into Maximus Nutrition, and it's always creatine, or it's protein. And people don't understand that, like, there are levels to how much you use and levels to, okay, that's too much. Like if you use too much protein powder, it is bad on your liver and your kidneys. And everybody wants an easy fix solution. Oh, I can get a meal replacement, or I don't know. What you should be doing is real food. Eating chicken, eating beef, eating, vegetables and rice. And it's okay to have, like, I do 3 scoops of protein powder a day. I do 1 in the morning, 2 at night. Perfect. As far as like enhancers and stuff like that, I'll do creatine monohydrate. I'll do scoops of glutamine in the morning and at night for digestion. And then, I do take testosterone boosters, but I like to focus on a plant-based one called turkesterone. Turkesterone is super, super powerful. It's a plant-based testosterone, and it synthesizes your protein and sends it to your muscle quicker. Rather than just taking a natural test booster, this one's still considered natural. We sell it at Maximus Nutrition. I think it's called Hulk. It's by the company called Anabolic Warfare. But we sell so much of that stuff inside of Maximus Nutrition. It's crazy. But turkesterone, you can buy it from 5%. You can buy it from all these different companies. That's been a big help for me. And then, a lot of people these days are talking about, peptides and stuff like that. You can take them orally, for people who hurt themselves, they get, hurt shoulders or hurt knees. We have so many people come in the store and talk about, BBC 157, TB 500, things like that, and they get it confused with the illegal stuff. You know what I mean? It's not illegal. People need to understand that there's a difference between using illegal anabolics and coming into the store and taking a pill. A pill, if it was illegal, obviously we wouldn't be selling it. You know what I mean? How could you get it over the counter? I think taking too much of it could be a concern, but I like to remain clean. Right now, currently, I'm just on a fat burner. And this fat burner makes me sweat constantly. Most fat burners do. It's a mixture, so it's 2 different fat burners in one. It's called MetaShred, and it is amazing. I love it. However, it is pricey. It's about, $300 and something.
Whew,
yeah.
Per month?
It gives you about 30 days supply. You take 2 capsules before pre-fasted cardio, and basically what it does is it blocks your inhibitors, and it causes you to burn more fat cells. My coach is really smart when it comes to that because he's the one that advised me to use it for my show. I use that. He's not too crazy about liquid L-carnitine. I use it just for a little bit more of a sweat. I know everybody likes L-carnitine, so I use about a tablespoon of that in the morning, and then I use some aminos to keep my muscle from breaking down when I do the cardio. But, I tell people most of the time, everything that the good Lord has put on the earth for you to build muscle, it's here. Most people just want an easy solution. And they forget that, we're eating 4 times a day. And in the off season, sometimes 6 times a day. And most people don't eat. I've seen these people in the gym, go and we're done in an hour. I come back for like cardio later and they're still there. What are you doing? You got to go home and eat. Your muscles are done. They're saying, feed me, please. The less training, the more you eat, the bigger you get. That's just math, But if you go in there and you hit arms for 3 hours, your arms are like, what are you doing, dude? I'm done. I need food and fuel. And sleep is important too.
Yeah.
I think besides that, I'm really basic. Of course, knowledge is power, and you can know everything there is to know about everything. I've ran SARMs in the past, stacks and stuff like that. But, overall, I like with the whole heart issue. That's where we get back to the heart issue. It's just a fear sometimes, you know what I mean? You want to be careful what you do.
Yeah. But overall, you're still taking creatine,
turkesterone. Yeah. And then, anything else that the coach really advises us to take, typically we take it because, man, if you're going to be a bodybuilder, get yourself a coach. Because what the coach does, if your coach is asking you for your hormonal panel and your blood work, that is a great coach because he wants to know everything about you in and out. Yeah. You know what I mean? So he knows what to put inside your body. He knows what's going on with your liver and your kidneys and your heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, okay, we're doing good. We can do this then. Or I'm not liking how this is looking, so we're not going to do this right now. We're going to take time to go into a health phase.
Yeah.
get you right so we can make you healthy to still continue to do what you love.
Yeah.
And I think that's what names a good coach and a good competitor. You have to have a good relationship with your coach, almost like a friend.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my answer is not going to be as in-depth as yours. But I do take creatine, and I take my aminos and my electrolytes, and then I do supplement protein occasionally. But
that's great.
Yeah,
that's
great.
The basics of the basics. You know, my parents were basic like that too. You can never go wrong with old school basics.
Yep.
And people got away from the basics.
Yep.
Everybody today thinks they're a scientist. They're not. Go to the basics.
You're a scientist, right?
Well, I try to be sometimes, and I'd like to know more.
Okay. Are there areas in your life that you would like to improve?
Yeah, I think everybody does. I think an area in my life that I'd like to improve is having more time for my loved ones. Mm-hmm. Having more time. I don't know if that's a big one for most, but it is for me. Having more time with my loved ones because we're so busy and we get so wrapped up with what we're doing, making ourselves better, that we forget about the people that are actually for us. And we're so concerned with building ourselves up in front of people that we barely know instead of focusing on that family time. You know, it's like today, you know, I'm going to see Lilo and Stitch with my lady and, you know, little Selena, you know. She's 8. She's lovely. I love her. And, you know, I got to get the gym done quick because I want to spend the rest of the evening with them. That's a big thing with me. That's an area that I would love to improve. And, you know, with that, it just comes time management. You know, with me, I think my biggest flaw is time management in the sense of putting down the weights and learning how to coexist with normal family life. Yeah. And I think a lot of guys who do the sport that we do struggle with that. I know that, you know, my good brother Jake, you know, he struggles with that too because he's U.S. Navy and he's in the oil field and his lady lives in San Antonio and all these things that he's got to worry about. How do you find the time? Yeah. You have to make the time.
Yeah. I could go with that as well, with just fostering like good relationships and good communication and learning to live in the moment.
Yeah.
Because you are absolutely right. We are self-centered a lot of times, and it's what can I be doing next? What am I eating next? What am I working out next? Where am I going for work? What do I have to do? And sometimes we forget to just stop and look around and be like, okay, this is good, and I can live here for just a little while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I would like to improve on living in the moment.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, we got time for one more green card. Cool. Probably got about a minute or two.
Have you ever prank called someone? Oh, man. That's so bad. Oh, man. Yeah. Man. Oh,
Do tell.
Yeah. Oh, man. Back then, we were dumb. You know, we put 2 pizza places on the phone with each other. And it was just fun, man. You know, we called, like, one of us called Papa John's and the other one called Pizza Hut. And we would just, like, when one would hang up, we would just recall that number. Yeah. And then they'd try to talk to each other. But they didn't figure out that they were both pizza places. Yeah. Because they never, you know what I mean? It was bad.
You're one of the first people that have answered with, yes, you have prank called people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, come on. You're a child. You're just having fun. Yeah.
The only reason that question's in there is because I used to do it too. Star 67.
Yep.
Or then you've got like it was back when like the internet was this new thing. And they were like prank call things where you could do like automated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. All right, you guys, that concludes this deck of cards segment. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back soon. All right. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm chilling.
All right, we're going to roll into the next segment.
Rock on. We're doing it.
And we are back I'm going to ask you 4 questions that I ask every single guest, and you're the only one answering these.
Cool.
What is your current biggest struggle?
My current biggest struggle, I think we touched on it before, but I'll throw a small 2 in there. Time management with my loved ones, and then learning how to be satisfied with what I accomplish. This is a tricky one. We get so wrapped up with being perfect, but we're not perfect. You know what I mean? We want to hit it right on the gram, right on the ounce. We want to do all 10 reps. We want to, clean the house, make the bed perfect, make the car look good, make the food taste the best. We can't. We're not a machine. We're just human, and body dysmorphia is a big thing. And I think looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking low of yourself, man, my lady has taught me that it ultimately rubs off on your loved ones because they can feel that energy. You know what I mean? We all have down moments, but I feel like you have to learn that there's others at stake, and you need to learn how to think positive. And when you are having a down moment, positively talk about it with your loved ones and say, hey, I'm not really feeling too good today. I don't think I look too good. I feel like I can do better, and if they say something positive to you, instead of rejecting that compliment or rejecting what they're saying, we need to learn to accept it as, okay, they're seeing me through their eyes. I see myself every day and critique myself over what I want. They're seeing me not only because they love me, but they're seeing me in the sense of they don't see me with, oh, I'm trying to get that body, because it's not their body, it's yours.
Yeah.
So if they're complimenting you, you need to realize maybe you have made some progress. Maybe you have done better. If you have a habit of interrupting and you've done better and you don't notice it, but they have, accept it. Maybe I have done better. If they tell you you've done good and you've done better, and they want to make it a notion that yeah, you probably need to accept that you're doing better. That's probably what I struggle with the most, is being self-satisfied with the work that you've put in. You don't want to have too much satisfaction to the point where you're not working hard anymore, because the sky's the limit. But being self-satisfied and having time with your loved ones, that's the 2 major things with me, because we're busy.
Those are great answers, too.
Yeah.
Good job. What is something you've done that you're proud of?
Something I've done that I'm proud of. It could go on and on. I'm proud of, I think, being the man that my brother was supposed to be. You know what I mean? That my father and my mother want me to be. The biggest thing that I've accomplished is just putting my family first when I can. I didn't have all the time in the world to go hang out as a kid. I helped my mom manage that candy store and had to stay late and wake up early. You know what I mean? Be there for my granddad when the other grandkids would not. Now he only has one grandkid left that really cares to talk to him, because the other ones are off doing their own life. It's you find that when you realize you're the last beacon of your family, especially the last young one, the only kid that really the older ones can look up to take care of them, it's a lot to get put on. So I think my biggest accomplishment is being that supportive force that my family now, back then, who was the one that protected you? Your mom, your dad. Today, now it's me. I protect my parents, and that is a big thing, big accomplishment for me. I want to make sure that I'm able-bodied enough to lift, move, and do anything physically for them, mentally strong enough to adhere their problems and worries, and then take those and learn how to fix them for my parents as they did for me when I was a young kid.
That's so beautiful. All right, my next question is, If you could give anybody honorable mention, who would you give honorable mention to and why?
Honorable mention?
Honorable mention.
Anybody, huh?
Anybody.
It just has to be one?
Just one. Who do you choose?
Man, probably Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Jake Coleman, man. He, sometimes I get emotional. Yeah, you don't find friends like that, you know? He's just a good dude. You have good friends. Friends are people that you can call at, hey, let's go hang out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Jake's the type of guy you can call at 3 a.m. Hey, man, I'm stuck on the side of the road. My car broke down. Oh, okay. Barely awake. You know what I mean? I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you right now. You know what I mean? Throws his dumbbells down in the middle of a gym session. I'm coming to you right now. Drops anything to come to you. That's not a friend. That's a family member. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He has been with me through my absolute lowest moment. He was with me when I almost passed away in the hospital. He was with me when we first started this journey together and told each other that one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, our kids will know each other. His kids will be my nieces and nephews and vice versa. And we will be standing on the Olympia stage together someday. Mm. That's a tall order to stand because we look at the guys that are in the Olympia now. Chris Bumstead is, retired. Mm-hmm. Ryan Terry and Derek Lunsford and all these great guys in these different divisions. We look up to these guys. But it's possible. Obviously, it's possible because these guys have done it. Mm-hmm. So your dreams have to be crazy, but it's better to be crazy with somebody that shares the same love for the sport as you do. You have to look on the right side of you, and you have to know that that man's got your back as much as you have his. And you don't care how thick the mud is. If he gets stuck in it, you're going to have to sink with him until you guys can figure out how to make it out together.
Good job, Jake. Thanks for being a good friend.
Yeah.
All right, my last question for you. What is the best piece of advice that you could give to anybody listening?
Stop overthinking. And just do it. Mm-hmm. Stop overthinking and just do it. I can't even tell you how many times in my past where I have overthought and I watch the clock and it's 5 p.m. I look up and it's 6:30. And I'm like, where did that hour go? It's gone. You can't get that hour back. Mm-hmm. It is completely in the past. That is a big thing. Do not overthink because the devil wants you to overthink. He wants you to doubt yourself and he wants you to tell yourself you can't do it. What does God say? God says, you're worried? You're troubled? Give it to me. Give it to me. Mm-hmm. And I'll take it, and I'll dispense of it. And the only thing I need you to do is take your right foot and put it in front of, take your left foot and put it in front of you, right? And walk. Eventually, you'll run, Mm-hmm. Maybe you can't do everything. Conor McGregor says it pretty well, Maybe you can't do everything, you can only do some things, but if you do some things for a while, eventually you can do everything. Mm-hmm. You work at it and work at it and work at it, but you don't overthink. You just do it. Overthinking will stop dreams. It's a dream stealer. It'll stop dreams. There's people out there that'll tell you can't accomplish. Haters, self-doubters, people like that. You want to know why people don't like somebody that they don't know? Maybe they know you for a couple seconds. Maybe they have a conversation with you, and then they don't like you. You don't know why. Tom Platt said it well. He said, because your spirit irritates their demons. Mm-hmm. You're such this positive force. You, Shelbi, are this positive force. You go into the gym, and you talk to everybody nice. You do these classes. You hand stickers to people. My mom has stickers that you've handed me because she likes to decorate her cup, and you're this positive force. And then you have these people that can't stand you. Why? Because they're so unhappy with their life that they have to root a positive influence in the world to make themselves feel better. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason. Why are people so mad at people who are happy and positive? Because they have not looked on the inner in search of their life how to make it better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing because they're overthinkers. They got to stop overthinking. They got to do something that makes them happy.
Did you hear that, you guys? Stop overthinking everything. Do you have anything else that you'd like to throw in? We got to wrap it up.
I'd have to say, man, keep swinging. And life's tough, but you're tougher. God does give his hardest battles to his strongest warriors. So if you think that you're that warrior, and you don't have to be a bodybuilder. You can be a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister. You can be whatever you want to be. Artist, cook. Go out and be the best cook, best artist, best mom and dad there is. And if somebody says that you're not, no reaction is the best reaction.
Beautiful words. I hope you guys got lots of motivation from this episode. I am going to give you some homework, which is subscribe to our channel. There are so many of you watching and you have not hit that subscribe button, and it helps us so much. So please show that support. Also, a special shout out to our sponsors, Training from the Ground Up, Orange Theory Fitness, Maximus Nutrition with all the smoothies, and CRC Roofing. Have a beautiful day, friends. Bye. Another shout out to Maximus Nutrition. Make sure you guys hop on over there for a smoothie. You guys know that pina colada is my favorite.